Hello and welcome back to Space Engineers. My name is Rabenschild, and we have a bit of a problem with our cargo tug. The vector thrust doesn't really react well to strapping the cargo container below it. You can see that I have moved the thrusters because in the last time we saw that they were too far off the center of mass, and then the thrusters couldn't really handle the whole thing too well. So that's why I moved that. And we saw that it even struggled with it being not having the cargo container attached. So now this works. So it still has problems that might be due to the fact that I tried to again use multiple thrusters that are a bit far off the center of mass. The two in the front, the two in the back, they make problems. So the vector thrust, I think, and again, I was not able to talk to Vermilion 1WSX10 about that, but it struggles when the whole thing is off the center of mass or too far away from it, I would say. So it would be better to maybe have one thruster on the center of mass, and then it wouldn't struggling is the wrong word, but you can see that when I go down, the thrusters kind of go into the diagonal instead of pushing up or down, and that might break the backbone of our cargo vector thrust vehicle. So at least when it comes to strapping something below it, because after that it goes haywire. So at the moment it works, and at least tries to go into the right direction. As soon as I hang the cargo container below it, it doesn't work. So we might have to find a way around that. And I thought that maybe having a cargo vehicle or a cargo tug that has rigid thrusters should work better, and it does. So this would be something I have built to just have the thrusters rigidly attached, and that again that works like a normal spaceship. It should only make trouble when I go into gravity, and again all the grids kind of struggle with something that is just strapped to it. But if there's enough gyroscopes, if there's enough thrusters, it shouldn't make a real problem. But we still struggle with it. And I found that maybe my idea of having the cargo containers attached is also not the best. I didn't try it in atmosphere yet, or in the gravity well. I always say atmosphere, but what I really mean by that is to say the gravity well. Because the gravity well starts way above the atmosphere in the end. So I should try to maybe get rid of my habit there. And and the problem is that I don't know how much thrust I need to bring these filled containers down. So it could be that I will not be able to do that with a small ship. I will try to do that, and we will build maybe a bit more on the cargo transport. But what I think I will do is I will opt to use vector thrust for attached containers. So use small grid big containers to struggling to find words, to have a cargo vehicle that I can use that uses vector thrust to get around. So I will maybe bring in the thrusters to somewhere here, and then get rid of the back one. Maybe bring in the cockpit a bit more, so that it gets a bit, that it gets smaller, kind of. We have something like that, but this one I at the moment use to have a get around vehicle, kind of. So maybe having a dedicated cargo ship would be neat to just to have one, and then we could use that thing maybe mainly on the planet, but I'm not sure yet how to do that. And then I will build up this one to be the cargo transport that can hopefully transport the cargo containers in the end. I hope that's possible. Again, it might be it might be not too possible, because again I might run into the problem that the cargo container in the end will be too heavy to work with the small ships. So if I build something, then later maybe I should opt for a big transport that is maybe able to bring stuff into the atmosphere, or bring cargo containers into the atmosphere. Another thing I saw when I tried out the cargo attachment system is that the landing gears, when the cargo container is not attached, but when it is close to the connectors, they don't connect. I'm not sure if I can get around that with reducing the strength on here. For this thing, it will not matter anyways, because I will remove that, put in normal large small grid cargo containers. But for the other one, I want to use something similar in the end. And you can see that it should attach, it doesn't. So maybe it's too far off in the end, and that could pose another problem, so that we might only have, with the small grid, the connector to connect it up. If we build this in a big grid system, then we could use, instead of the connector, use the merge blocks. That would be a far more stable connection, and then we could again try to do that with maybe the vector thrust, because it's so weird. But if you would merge the whole thing together, then you would have one grid, and so the vector thrust then could be more successful with balancing the whole center of mass thing out. Not sure how that works and if that works, but I at least want to try it. This is, having cargo containers would be a real passion project for me, although I don't have figured out yet how to deal with the merge blocks, and it would be neat to have a way to I don't know, unmerge stuff by maybe having buttons or something like that, or dedicated timer block that I could just set up. I'm not sure. One thing I wanted to test is, so okay, we can use the build vision. That's a good thing. So we at least could directly click on the merge block and unmerge it. That should work too. But again, it's so weird, because in orbit I will definitely have to use a different cargo tuck. That's a thing, because the cargo tuck in orbit might want to be behind one of the cargo containers and attach to, I don't know, with the merge block, or attach with landing gears on the sides here, because it is easier to fly towards one of the cargo containers from the backside, attach to it, and then detach it, fly off with it. I have to see how this all works out. It's it's how to say that. It's something really interesting to me if that works in the end. The whole center of mass thing again works against me as long as I don't use merge blocks. And on the other hand, merge blocks are a bit finicky to use. Again, I say that the whole issue with it merging, unmerging might not be a problem. I, again, still want to bring in the mod for later use that makes it easier to use the merge blocks. The whole system for the tugs might be a thing where I definitely have to use merge blocks. It's something I really want to build, and I don't want to go with a big ship here with a big grid ship to bring them to the planet. It would be just easier and nicer to use small ships. But again, the whole thruster issue might be too much for filled cargo containers. We'll have to test that in a bit, fill the cargo container up with, I don't know, stone or something to have real weight in there. And we will see how that works out in the end. I want to work more on this today. Again, bring the thrusters more towards the center of mass. Maybe put then some more thrusters on here to have a bit more thruster power. Bring the cockpit in. Get rid of the spider legs. Someone suggested to, instead of this spider frame, I could use something like the big cargo helicopters that sometimes there's a cargo helicopter. I think its nickname is Elvis. It is also used to fight fire, and it's basically a cockpit in the front. Then the frame goes up. Then there's a beam on top where the main rotor is attached to, and then it goes into the back rotor in the end. And then you could strap a huge weight below the whole thing. Basically, it has a crane on board, and its legs protrude to the side and then down. Use something like that would be neat. Again, when we go in and make the thing a whole rigid cargo ship, then we might do something similar. But we don't have helicopter blades. That's one thing. And in space, they wouldn't work anyway. So I would say I go to work on this and do some prep work to cut things out and maybe prepare the attachment points for the cargo containers. I want to have them, so this basically as the backbone of the whole cargo thing, and then maybe bring the whole cargo a bit down. This thing will go also down so that I can maybe make a station on the ground to fix it to. Something where this thing can land, get fixed with a connector to the ground base, and then lift off. But I will disconnect, lift off then again. I will keep using the LY thrusters because they are very powerful thrusters, and they are able to get out of the atmosphere without having to put too much weight onto the rotor here. Ooh, the question still is, how much cargo will it be able to lift? I know that the small cargo containers have a much smaller inventory, but it still could get very heavy. We will have to see how that works out. Let me start to work on this, and then I will come back to you with hopefully a bit more progress. I don't have a lot of time today, but I at least want to change the thrusters to be more in the middle and then put some cargo containers around it. This one can stay where it is, but I maybe want to, don't know, encase it or have some structure that goes a bit more to the back. Something similar to this vehicle. We will have to see. I think I have worked longer on this than I should have. Let me turn off the signals. I had to turn that on. I saw that one of my ships was firing at something, and that well, I needed to see what that is. And there was a smuggler's legacy or something. One of the rust freighters coming through, and a big blue said, "No, we're not having that here." was okay. I can only say, okay, that's what I have come up with. There are 8 of the large small grid containers on here, and for now it really works well, I have to say. So even if the thrusters on the sides are a bit big in the end, but I hope that this works out. You can see that here, if you can see it. So the center of mass, now you should be able to see that, it is right here. It's relatively close to all the thrusters and also the back thruster. That should work out really nice. And if I don't make it too big and too crazy here on the side with too many armor blocks, this should work out fine. I hope it has enough thrust to push if that's filled up into orbit or bring it down onto the planet. So that will need testing. But I'm pretty happy with the design, and the one thing I want to do is again have a bit of a kind of counterweight. You can see that the center of mass is a bit forward, so I want to bring in some blocks to push it a bit back, so make something like the other vector thrust craft here has, something like a tail on there that poses as a bit of a counterweight, kind of. Also, it might give it a nicer looks to elongate that a bit back, push maybe the tail a bit up. I like when the ships that I build have this, they look more like birds then, when they have this having the wings on the side slope a bit down, and like here. So it's straight here, but it has a bit of this downslope in here. It looks like as if it wraps around something. It looks maybe a bit nicer than to just have completely straight lines on here. And I want to have a bit of a something raised up here, then go down, and then maybe go up a bit again. It could look nice, and here the cockpit will slope down. From here it will start to slope down, but that's all details I want to fit in later. This one will be a bit closer to the original that I had planned. Have nacelles on the side that are a bit sloped down, rise a bit back up. These again will not move, and that's why it has thrusters on the back. But this is one thing I want to test over the next days, kind of build it up, and then we will see what we can do with it. Because we could also use it if the container itself is too heavy, then we could use it to, deliver rovers or something like that to the planet. Not that it is really necessary. We don't get a lot of rovers through, but something like that would be nice to have too. But again, here I would like to have more of a focus on the vector thrust stuff. So that's why I wanted to build this up before I start to continue with this thing. And again, then later we will test it again and see if the whole if the whole vector thrust maybe with bigger blocks, with the big blocks, works better. I'm not sure if that will, but it's worth testing, I would say. One thing W1WSX10 told me that I should bring back in the strength mod for the rotors. And I have the feeling the strength mod never left me, because I can go high up, really high up, and with the torque. I'm not sure if that's normal now, or if that's something. Don't know. I should be on the lookout for. Let me do that and test how that works out. I think the strength mod goes a lot higher up. Okay, that's still on. What I would like to have is more of a speed mod. But I'm not sure. We will test that out. Once it's done, I will fly it into the atmosphere, and we will. Don't know. Maybe we should do that now. Give me a few more minutes to maybe put the tail on, and then we just fly it into the atmosphere and take a look how that works out. It would be nice to see that thing fly and if it behaves well. It behaves really well. It's maybe a bit slow when it comes to slipping, so side-to-side movement, but otherwise I'm pretty happy with that thing. So you can see we have the tail wings now, and I would say now I go just off into the atmosphere. We will land on the planet and see how that thing behaves there. That's always interesting to me, because again, we need them to work in space, we need them to work on the planet, so it would be good if this would be already at least powerful enough to hold itself. By the way, I think I will turn off the center of mass now, so I don't need that information right now. And yeah, let us go and take a look how she flies. It is sometimes a bit wobbly. I'm not sure. Again, it could be due to the thrusters being so wide. Yeah, so being so wide. Not sure. Maybe I should listen to the suggestion and maybe bring in the rotor strength mod. Now with the bridge gone, that might be a good solution. I always had the problem that the rotor strength mod and the bridge didn't behave well together. So now we might be able to do that. So I'm now in the cruise mode. Works really well. We will go and soon shut that off, and then hopefully we can land and maybe fly a bit of a a circle over the base. Something like that should be possible. And again, we will have to do that a few times with the future builds. The thing is that later, when we work on the planet, then we will maybe have more stuff that is not able to go into outer space. We shouldn't have too many problems with that. But with the stuff that is able to go out to outer space, we will have to make constant flights between the planet and the base, and the problem is there is a lot of space in between. So I'm not too happy with that. Later I might bring in a drone that sneakily brings back and forth materials. We will have to see how that works out. But I'm really happy. This thing works out really well. It has the same problem that it also points. Oh no, it crashes. Why does it point upwards when I... Why does it point upwards when I have it... When I have it break? It must be the thrusters. The other one does that too sometimes. It points upwards and then it just speeds it up towards the ground. So that's not too great. Let me reload that because I don't want to lose all the work right now. That's not good. We'll have to take a look at that. I have it back and it stopped. Could it be something with the speed mod that I was just too fast for it? I've turned off all the other thrusters before. Maybe that's also a thing I shouldn't have done. Could be the case that having... Oh yeah, that's... I turned that off because with the thrusters turned on, the cruise mode won't work. The cruise mode basically is just set up for the vector thrust, and so the other thrusters don't react to that. I will try to stay below a certain speed right now. Cruise mode is turned back on, and I will stay below the 100 meters per second. I hope then I will just slow down normally. The thrusters struggled with the speed. I have the feel, not the thrusters. Maybe the whole setup struggled with the speed. I'm not sure. Okay, staying below. This didn't work out too well. We will slow down a bit and continue our way towards the planetary installation. I hope that works out. I don't want to lose that ship again, and I don't want to lose it to, yeah, maybe something I've messed up. That would be the bad thing. I have too many hours now into this, and I would say yeah, we will continue the flight, and I come back to you when we are closer to the station. I will speed up a bit and then later maybe slow down a bit more. I can turn on the other thrusters if that is needed. I will just turn them back on, turn cruise mode off, turn them back on, and that also should slow us down. Good. We will wait for a bit until we are a bit closer. It definitely is an issue with the speed, I have the feeling. It's crashing again. That's not right. That's just not right. I will figure this out. I will definitely figure this out. Ow. These thrusters should be strong enough for everything. For everything. Okay, we reload. We should be closer now to the planet. That's another thing. Oh no. No. That's so bad. That's so bad. Why does that happen? Why does that happen? We have to turn on the script now. That's always a problem when you reload. You have to turn the script back on. I will go and now just go in for a landing with all thrusters turned on, no cruise mode. Let me get to hopefully a better spot to land. That's it. Did you see that? Did you see that? It is definitely the speed. The thrusters start to thrust downwards when you are above a certain speed, and that was very, very noticeable there. So if I come out of cruise mode and I'm above the 100, then before that I have to slow down. Otherwise the thrusters will thrust up, speed us down towards the Earth, and the back thruster is not able to slow us down quick enough. That might be the problem. We are too fast, and maybe the whole thruster layout then makes the script kind of not being able to keep up, and that's something I really don't want to have happen. So I will land the ship now that I know that. I might just manually slow the ship down, and then once we are below 100, I will turn off the cruise mode. That should work out pretty nice, because in cruise mode, the whole vector thrust script tries to just always fly into the direction you're pointing at, and that's a good thing, because that way I can just slow down by going slower, and it's so well done. I like that. The 1WSX10 or Vermilion now made a script for me, or it has a script also. I think it's also on the workshop. I think it's the better lack of thrusters script, so that you can basically have cruise mode. It's then more like flying an airplane instead of flying a spaceship. When you fly, you can turn on your dampeners so you don't crash towards the ground. It tries to negate the pull of gravity, but it also still lets you fly forward, and that's a nice thing with the vector thrust script. Okay, now we are at 97 meters per second, so if we turn off the cruise mode now, it does the same. So, but now it stops. Something weird is happening there, so I'm not sure what that is. It tries to negate a thrust vector there, basically. We don't have any upthrust. Why should it try to negate that? Even with does that happen? Yeah, it even happens when we turn off the thrusters, the extra thrusters we have. So why does it try to negate an upward movement? It must be because these thrusters are just crazy powerful. Stop that. Now it gets dangerous. Now it really gets dangerous. Let me hopefully try to land the thing. But people, I think that's all for today. I will land this thing very carefully, bring it back into space, and there I will see what we do about all this stuff. Again, having the thrusters on there, maybe I need to replace them with the gravitic manipulators. I'm not sure. These are even more powerful. We will have to see. But now I want to fly. I want to fly back really, really careful. Really careful. I could just fly out of it right now, but I think I want to at least attempt landing. I have the cruise mode turned back on, so now you can see we are losing altitude because I'm not pointing towards the artificial horizon. So that's really neat. It goes down a bit slower. Okay, we can try to slow us down and maybe attempt a landing that way. We turn that off. What does it do? Okay, right now it still keeps us from crashing. That's a good thing. Turn off the... So, see that? Now it was not so crazy adamant about pushing us down. I will really have to figure that out. By the way, there's the small thing I've built to work with thrusters on the other vector thrust craft. Yeah, that needs a lot more work, I would say. Turn off the dampeners, turn off the thrusters, and turn off the script for now. Ooh, okay. Nice breath of fresh air. I will stay for a moment, collect myself, and then go back to space, I would say. And there we work a bit more on that. Maybe I can figure that out. If I can maybe bring them a bit more together, then I don't have these wonky movements. That could be something I could try. Maybe I can even do that down here. That stuff I will try. We will have to see how that works out. People, yeah, sorry to end it again here on the planet, but we will have to test it once in a while. That will happen. The next time, I hope I can put some more time into this craft, and in the meantime, and then the next time I will show it to you what I've done there, and then we go and take a look at the other craft that we still have to build. I want to fill up the container with something really heavy, and then I want to test more with the crafts in orbit. If the craft in orbit is not able to move the container in a good way, then we don't even have to try it on the planet. So then maybe the whole small ship bringing the big containers in is not a good idea. It's not something that we can really fulfill there. So I can't wait to test more of that stuff. Good people, thanks for watching. Hope you liked the episode. If you did, then please leave a like on the video. Take a look at the description. There's all the links to Discord, Patreon, Twitter, to my channel, to a playlist with all the episodes. Yeah, and I hope to see you in the next one, I would say. Thanks for watching. See ya, guys.